right, everybody, we're back with podcast number 6 today. We have Mayor Watts and our city manager, Mark McLaughlin. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, go ahead and like us on all of our social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn.
Wow.
To keep up to date with everything that we're doing with the EDC. And I am going to turn over to introductions with Mayor Watts first, and then we'll go with our city manager, Mark McLaughlin. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Mayor Watts?
Well, who is Mayor Watts? Well, I was born and raised in Lockhart, Caldwell County. No, I'm not homegrown from Luling, but I am married to my husband, Cal Watts, who's had ancestors here since 1855.
Oh,
so
my
I would
gosh.
say they're well established
I don't think I
in
knew
the community, and we're proud of that. Decided to get into doing something different after I retired of 30 years being a paralegal in law firms. Came back to help my husband run our business here in Luling, and was asked by the city manager, not this one, but a prior city manager, if I'd be interested in serving on planning and zoning. So I served on planning and zoning and chaired that for 10 years, and then decided to run for city council. So I had 2 terms on council, 4 years. Was asked if I wanted to think about running for mayor, and I did, because the other mayor retired after 23 years. Didn't have an opponent, got elected for 2 years, ran again in 2024, had an opponent and won, and here we are. And I love city government. I know you may think that that's crazy, but I like being involved because we do love our community here. We love the city of Luling, and we're very excited about moving it forward and looking at growth, but in a strategic way, and trying to get some stuff here that will help all of our citizens in Luling.
Yeah, that's great.
So glad to be here. Thank you for doing this.
And you serve also on our EDC board as well.
I do serve on the EDC board
And more.
president of that. I am on the Zedler Mill board. I was for a term on the chamber board. Used to be served as secretary for many years on the Oil Museum board. I was on
You're on
a lot of boards.
well, you can tell you love the community with
Yes.
how much you serve. So that's that speaks highly of you. And so you said that your husband his family's been here since
55.
It
In
makes me want to go.
Wattsville. He started in Wattsville, Texas, which is right outside the community of McNeil.
Okay. Wow.
And they built a gin there and a store and a blacksmith shop.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Rich.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn it over to Mark.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about Mark.
geez.
Who is Mark McLaughlin?
Well,
And I love hearing his Navy story, so this is something.
Okay. So my name is Mark McLaughlin, and my dad was from the Pacific Northwest, and my mom was from the Corn Belt of Iowa, and they met at Creighton University before it was called that, in medical school. My dad was in medical school, and that's where I came along, Omaha, Nebraska. And here we settled when I was very young in my dad, when he got into his private practice after doing all of his residency and internship and everything, we settled in Caldwell, Idaho. And I got a good story about that coming up. But Caldwell, Idaho, and that's from second grade to when I graduated high school. That's where I was from, Caldwell, Idaho, near Boise, the capital of Idaho. And then I came to Texas A&M University. Never been to Texas a day in my life till I stepped off the airplane to go to A&M. And that was in the early 80s, and I was in the Corps of Cadets there on a Navy scholarship.
Nice.
So there were 23 of us that started on our fish class in our Corps of Cadets unit, and 11 of us graduated. 9 of us went into the military, and all 9 of us made careers of it. And we're all very close today. So my Navy career, so I was married, commissioned, and graduated in the same weekend.
Oh my gosh.
And my wife and I have our 40th anniversary.
That makes so much sense, though, with you. That makes so much sense.
So my wife and I will celebrate our 40th wedding anniversary this December.
Oh
so,
my goodness.
But that started us on a journey in the U.S. Navy. I became an aircraft carrier pilot and did 27 years of that. I flew the A6 Intruder, which was a carrier-based bomber. And so I was in Operation Desert Storm and did 22 missions in Operation Desert Storm. And I was the youngest pilot. I was tail end Charlie on every mission, which is the guy in the very back. And so my view of the war was very different than the guy in the front.
I'm sure.
And there's a whole bunch of stories about that. But very close with my bombardier navigators that sat right next to me through all my missions. And so the Navy, you have many off ramps you can take. I was fortunate enough that my wife and I said, we'll stay in as long as it's fun. And we we anchored in Whidbey Island, Washington, way up by Canada, northwest above Seattle. We were there for 12 years. Did a tour in Omaha, Nebraska for 3 years. I was overseas in the Middle East in 2006. And then we did some tours in South Texas and Kingsville. And then I finished my career in the Navy as the base commanding officer of Naval Air Station Kingsville, Texas, which was like running a city. And so that kind of started me down a path so I retired in 2013 after 27 years in the Navy. And we could have gone to 30, but the Navy said, well, you've never done a Washington, D.C. tour, and you're going to have to do that. And I said, yeah, and I never am going to go to Washington, D.C. And I wasn't going to drag my wife and my son, because my daughters were already gone from the house. But my son he was a nationally ranked swimmer, and coaches were following him. He was being recruited, and I wasn't going to drag him to D.C. and 3 years later drag everybody back to Texas. So we just said, no, we're getting out.
Yeah.
And I don't regret that decision at all.
Yeah.
I did some DOD consulting for a few years, and then my father-in-law suggested, have you ever thought about being a city manager? And I can tell you that had never, ever crossed my mind. Never. So I applied for the city manager job in Flatonia, Texas. Started city management there, and I did that for almost 4 years. And then Kingsville came calling. They needed a city manager. And of course, the city of Kingsville is near 30,000 people. And I was already familiar with the town because I had the base right next to it. And did that for 5 years, almost to the day. And then you came calling for Luling. And so I've been here 15 months.
Yeah.
So I've been a city manager now for 10 years, starting my 11th in a couple of weeks.
My goodness. And then there's some good news coming out of the last city council meeting.
Yes, there is. We had a year-to-year contract with Mark, and then we decided to extend that contract, and we now have extended it because we're very pleased with how everything's been going in his 15 months that he's been here, because he's really moved things quickly within that time to get some things up and running. So we have extended that contract at the last city council meeting, and everyone voted, and so we have him until January of 2029.
Keeping you down.
And we are very excited about that. Yeah. So we just got to keep moving.
Yes, and it has been. I remember whenever Mark first came in, and it was one of those where I looked at Mary and I was like, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, this is great.
Well, I don't want to slight the previous administration, because you're only as good as what you inherit, because you can only grow so much.
Right.
And so I'm pretty fortunate that what Mark Mayo had left me, the status of the budget, the personnel, of course there's, we're in that transition from small town to, we're not going to be small for long. I mean, it's happening.
Yeah.
So you have to build the foundation, and I think that's what we've done this first year. We didn't have a parks department.
Yep.
We didn't have a planning department. It was like, you kind of wonder, how could you build a town without a planning department?
Right.
Yeah. It has to coordinate. Like, if somebody comes in tomorrow and says, I want to bring 1,000 homes to your city, I'm like, that's great for the tax base. I love it. But who's going to tell Aaron that at the school district? Say, can you handle, 1,000? That's 4,000 people. 1,000 homes. That's 4,000 people. Half of that's kids.
Yeah.
Where who's bringing the school with them?
Yeah.
So that's what planning has to do. They have to coordinate. Do we have enough water? Do we have enough sewage capacity? What about electricity capacity? What about the roads, the congestion, the school district? There's just a lot that has to be thought out. So we created the planning department, and we're growing. We're going in the right direction.
So that was one of the things that we really looked at hard, Ari, when we were looking for the next city manager.
Yes.
And I was very wanting somebody that was very well organized, because not only were we had just hired a brand new chief of police, which comes with a lot of experience because he comes from the Houston area, so
Right.
he knows how to get the PD up and running, and he has done a tremendous job at
Yes.
that because we're fully manned. And then we were getting a new city manager.
Right.
Then we knew that in the near future we were going to need a new finance director, which Mark has hired.
And
Mark,
the city
sir.
secretary.
And a new city secretary, and we
Wow.
brought on the planner, and then of course we knew we were going to be getting a new EDC director. So there's been a lot of changes within the city, and we're getting a new HR person because
That's
our
right.
other
Yeah.
HR person found another job, and that person starts on the 30th, and she comes with a lot of experience. So I think that we're
And she's
growing
local.
in the right, and she's local, graduated from Luling High School.
Love it.
And I think we're really growing in the right direction. We've got to.
Yeah.
We've got to be organized, and we've got to step forward and keep moving.
Especially when it comes to the growth of the city. Everybody keeps talking about how we're on that precipice of change and growth. And so, like you said, coming in with and building kind of off the infrastructure that was here and present, and then starting to really expand it has been awesome to be a part of. You know, like you mentioned Pat and the hiring of Pat as our new planning director. It's been wonderful not only getting to know him, but also as you see everybody kind of converging together and working together as a team. And that's been awesome. Being able to come into your office of the mayor with Pat, with everybody, Bill Shuley, and all of us are like, all right, what are we working with? You know,
Well, your organization is only as good as a team that is willing to communicate.
Yes.
You've got to have communication for the team to work properly, and that doesn't mean you don't talk to this person, you don't talk to that person, but you come together as a team and you figure it out.
yeah. That's important. You have to be able
Yeah.
to communicate.
Yeah.
Even whenever there might be, I don't even call them disagreements, but different, not really disagreements, but yeah, it's just important to be able to communicate.
Well, and so that's one of the things I have to deal with every day. So I have
Yes.
13 department heads with direct reports.
Right.
They all want something.
Yes.
I can only give them so much because our resources are limited. So I have to balance, and so I have to explain to that to a department head, I know you want this, but I can only give you this much.
Right.
And then, but I don't micromanage their departments. You know, they're the experts in their fields.
Right.
I don't tell the judge how to run the municipal court. I don't tell Jaime how to run public works. I leave that up to their expertise. I just say, you know, I'll liken it to a naval term. I'm the captain of the ship, and I'll tell you the destination.
Right.
How you get me there, that's your business.
Right.
Within budget.
Stay within budget.
And you
Yeah.
have to always know to, yes, work with those department heads. But you can get along and also disagree.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, that's true.
And talk it through.
And one of the things, too, that I wanted to kind of highlight, because both of y'all come with economic development experience. You created the Economic
did,
Development
in
Corporation of
Flatonia.
Flatonia. You worked alongside the EDC director in Kingsville. And
Yep.
then not only have you served on our board, but you've been, I mean, with your just community involvement on different boards, etc. I mean, everything that you've been a part of speaks economic development.
Well, it does. And being on the board for Caldwell County
Yes.
Economic Development Group that I
Yes.
was, which is now East Caldwell,
Yeah.
that was a learning experience.
Yeah.
Very well.
I think, so here's another aspect of economic development that I think most of the people have no idea goes on behind the scenes.
Yep.
A lot of people just think economic development is just bringing more business to town. That's kind of what everybody just
That's
assumes
what's
it is.
perceived, yeah.
There's a lot more to it than that.
Yes, it
and
is.
it's really, you have to identify what's important to the city of Luling.
Yes.
I like the Davis Street downtown. I like the Pierce Street downtown. We want to preserve that. You don't want to go in there with a bulldozer, flatten it down, and bring everything modern and
Right.
make it look like downtown Austin,
Exactly.
right? So what you're trying to do is balance the historic nature, the roots of the city, what made it the way it is, and plan the growth. You know it's coming because people are getting pushed out of Travis County, Bear County, and they're coming out into Caldwell.
Yeah.
They're coming out in this area for affordability. The growth is happening. Just look around. And so how do you grow that and preserve the foundation of
Yes.
what created Luling? that is way more challenging than people even try to understand.
I agree.
Well, and in going into that, which it's been in the paper and everything, our EDC board did hire Aaron Farmer with Retail Coach, and we're working closely with him and that organization to bring some more retail businesses to Luling.
Right.
Do we want to grow? Yes, we want to grow, but we want to do it strategically. And of course, everybody knows about the subdivision north of town, and they were saying, oh gosh, here we go, we're getting a subdivision. But I know some of the families that weren't able to afford a house without that subdivision, that have bought homes out there for their families, and some that have 3, 4, 5 kids, and they're loving it.
Yes.
Because they can now have a new home, affordable, and not have to pay rent. So that, you have to look at the good versus the bad, and I don't think any of it's bad.
Happen.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
growth
happening.
is going to happen. It's how you manage it.
Well, the
It's how you
county's
manage
already
it.
working on the 183 expansion out there.
Yes,
I mean,
true.
it was down to one lane yesterday, so yeah, that's because of the growth up there around the old Luling Airport. They're
Where the
fixing the highway to
evacuation shelter is.
allow for turn lanes to make it safe.
Yeah. And another thing is Crossbow. When they came to town, a lot of people weren't so sure what to think about that out there, but I can honestly say I'm glad they're here.
Yeah.
Why? Because they have hired some of our local people
Yes.
that had to drive out of town to get those good paying jobs, and now they're here within 5 or 10 minutes from their home, can go to their children's school events without having to rush on the highway, and that's been an asset too.
That's one of the things that I think too with economic development, that you cover a lot of different territories: workforce development, strategic planning, property development. I mean, there's so many things, but one of the things that I always remember is like, you want them to stay here, to eat here, to play here, to work here. And with these kind of companies that are interested in coming to Luling or have now made Luling their area to build, like Crossbow, we've got people that are local that are working there. And just like you said, now it's like they don't have to commute 30 to 45 minutes from their spot in wherever, New Braunfels or San Marcos. They're working 5 minutes outside town, and then they come to the football game Friday night. It's pretty incredible to be able to have that here. And then too, of course, as you talked about, the neighborhood development that's starting to kind of happen, and so it's all kind of happen. It's like a trickle effect. It's kind of happening. But I do love that with Aaron Farmer, one of the things that I love, everybody here probably here's like Retail Coach. Oh no, they're going to come and bring every retail chain, in the state of Texas. But one of the things that we have made sure to do, and Aaron knows, and so does Nick, is we want strategic retail here that's going to benefit our residents, benefit our town. But we're not here just to randomly put things, put different retail in spaces.
No, we want to pick and choose where we.
Well, that
try
and
to
it has
put
to
those.
fit because
It's gotta fit.
It has to fit.
I get the calls regularly. You do too. Like, when are we going to get a Chick-fil-A? Well, Chick-fil-A's business model, we're not there yet. We don't have enough throughput.
Right.
And but we do for a McDonald's. So we know, it's not no secret that McDonald's is looking at our area. It's just finding the right piece of property.
Right.
And but there's other retail, and I think what a lot of people don't understand is that Aaron Farmer and Retail Coach that are bringing this business, that they've been doing this for decades, so they're really good at this stuff. And they know the companies that are looking for our market, and some of them want to be strictly on the interstate. Some want to be only in the downtown. Some could care less if they're down around Buc-ee's. Others say, no, I got to be way far away from Buc-ee's, just because that's their business model.
Yep.
And I liken it to the McDonald's and Burger King. Burger King's business model is you better be inside of the Golden Arches.
Yep.
So a lot of people probably don't know that. Next time you drive through a town, you see a Golden Arches, look around, you're probably going to see a Burger King within a few blocks. That's that was their business model. And so Aaron knows this stuff, and I think he's built a pretty good rapport with those companies that are interested in our town. And it's like once the first domino goes, then they're all just going to start going.
Going to happen.
And we're almost there. The O'Reilly's is open, obviously, but there's more coming.
Yep.
Yeah, but one of the things that I want to stress, Mark and Ari, is because of the family history that we do have here, we still want to maintain our quaint community that we
Yes.
have. We do not want to lose that. And as I've always said, even before my role as mayor, we are the crossroads to everywhere.
Yes.
We are.
And that says a lot because we got Interstate 10, we've got 183, we've got 90.
Yep.
And we have connections to 130 now, so there's a lot of different directions that we can go.
And the train.
And the train. We
And by
got
the way,
the train.
the train is
Hey,
not
the
going
train
away.
is not going away.
Train is
People
not
ask me,
going
when's
away."
Union Pacific going to quit going through
No.
town? I'm like, yeah, they were here first, and,
And
they're
the-
going to stay.
The whistle will be blowing.
Yeah.
It's not going away.
Yeah.
I think we would be lost, the ones that are here and have been here forever would be lost without the train whistle.
Well, and that's what part of the. I mean, let's kind of date back a little. I love listening to y'all talk about how even just Luling was kind of founded. It was one of the quotes was it was the toughest town in Texas.
It still is the
it still
toughest
is the
town
Well,
in
yeah, it
Texas.
started about a mile from the end of the railroad track.
Yeah.
So if you got to the end of the railroad back in the day, you were probably running from something, right?
But it was part of the cattle drive, I believe, Chisholm Trail, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Could have been.
Positive.
Cattle was a big part.
It was.
But this
Cattle.
was
And oil.
cotton
And
country
oil.
and cotton.
And cotton.
cotton. Yeah.
All these farm fields around
That's
here were
what
cotton
Zedler
back in the day.
was a cotton gin, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Correct.
Then it
Yes.
provided water, provided the
The
electricity,
electricity.
and now we provide a wedding venue.
Yeah.
But so many people go down in that. I mean, some people just go and walk, but yeah,
Some
I've
people
seen
come
No, it's a great
Fish.
location. Yeah,
Yeah, they fish a
it's
lot down
It's a
there.
family area to go.
It really
It
is.
is.
It's
yeah.
more than just weddings.
And that's one of the things that we'll just kind of touch on just a little bit. I know it's a little bit outside. I mean, not really outside economic development, but it's more getting into like the grant world just a little bit is the kind of reconstruction of the creek bed. It was like 2 summers ago now that the culvert failed.
Yeah.
And so we're working on a project right now to have that reinstalled and working on kind of like a hydrology study as well in order to help maintain that creek from eroding even more. So that's something that we've been doing, considering it's a family site and it's obviously the historical gem of Luling, you know.
Sure.
So, because it's what, 150? Y'all had the 150th.
We had a
yeah.
150th.
50th.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so one of the questions also I had for y'all with y'all having, I would say, a rich history, you know, with Luling is what would y'all say is something that y'all see in the near future for Luling in terms of economic development? Well, it won't go 10 years, but maybe 3 to 5 years. What would y'all kind of see, and how would y'all like Luling to look?
Wow.
Well, that's an interesting question. To look. Mark, you go first.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
gonna
so
think about that
here's
one.
what's going to happen. Quick Trip is going to build near the Lavender Farms out by the Loves. That is coming. They have their driveway permits from TxDOT. They'll have an access from Highway 90 and an access off of Highway 183. So, and they'll be up on the hill above Loves. So that's happening.
Yeah.
And we already know that there's growth in with Retail Coach. It's
Yes.
looking at certain sites in the town. We have some growth projections of the old airport site. So EDC owns a couple of lots still up there that are still for sale.
Yes.
And we know that the meat market's looking at some stuff up there. Crossbow's looking at expansion. I mean, they're just growing like a weed.
Yes, they are.
The Ladera is that's the housing development up there. So in the near term, that will fill out, and that's going to be almost 500 homes. So you're talking 2,500 people.
Yep.
And then we already have sold some of the land along Highway 183 near Ladera and the Emergency Evacuation Center, which opens next month. And so there will be some commercial development right along Highway 183. So that's all going to happen in the near term. There's no stopping that.
Right.
And why would we? But I think now what we have to start looking at going forward is our traffic. And so we're working with the state and TxDOT on the Luling Transportation Plan, which has an open house next week.
That everyone's invited to
Yep,
attend.
there's 2 of them, one in the morning, one in the evening. You can go to either one. But the issue is that, even 40 years ago when I first came to the town, and my in-laws have lived here for 30 now in this town. They, you never saw the traffic through the downtown like we do today.
Oh, man.
Because, like the mayor said, we're a crossroads to everywhere, and we probably have 2,000 belly dump trucks going through the middle of the city every single day.
We had one on Davis Street yesterday at lunchtime.
Yes.
Because we witnessed that.
Yes.
And it's like
Wait,
they
in front
don't.
of like Blake's City Market side, or the other side by the where the old theater was?
No, down Davis Street, right in
Moonrise.
front of the sandwich shop
Yeah.
on the corner.
Oh yeah, so they're not supposed to be over there.
No, they're not.
But they're
But they
doing
were.
it now. Like, I've seen a couple that have gone down here, Crockett. They turn
Yes.
before the light because they don't want to sit at the light, and it gets so jammed on Magnolia when you're about to go over the the train tracks. I think what was the statistic? There was like 14 to 16,000 cars just in that area.
Yeah.
16,000 is
A
what
day.
they were.
A
Yeah,
day.
A day. So
A day.
we are way over the capacity limits of this
Yes.
road. And so TxDOT understands that they're going to have to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's going to be bypasses. We're going to have it. There's
Yes.
no way that when this town grows to 10, 12,000 people in the next 10 years, that the current road conditions are going to hold up or even be capable of supporting this. So they have to come. I don't want the local businesses to freak out because there's this old wives' tale that when you build a bypass, you kill your business in the town.
Yeah.
Absolutely untrue.
Yeah,
that has been proven time and time again to be actually the antithesis. You usually improve your downtown when you get the stuff that has no intention of coming downtown, get them out of the downtown,
Yeah.
so the people that want to come downtown will do it.
Yeah.
Right now, I know there's probably people that drive through and they see the line at the light and they're
And
like,
they're like, no.
yeah, we're not going to get off this
And then
road.
they just drive.
They just
Yeah.
drive right
Just
on
drive
through.
Just drive on
So-
through.
And don't stop.
So the Luling transportation is going to be one of the major focus points that is going to be, everybody's going to experience it over the next 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's not going to happen tomorrow. We're going to be dealing with this problem for another 3 to 5 years minimum before there's even probably an engineered plan on paper that says, and then TxDOT says we can afford it and it'll be in this out year. So, nothing happens quick, but that's so there you go. For economic development, the transportation is going to be
Yeah.
probably a 10-year
I mean,
thing.
and that's key.
So, sitting in the mayor's position, one of the things I would like to see moving forward, whether it can happen in the next 5 years, hopefully we can get to there in 5 years, or maybe within 10, I'd like to see us with a new fire department
Yes.
building and a new PD, which is needed badly. Both of those are. And I'd like to see a substation to the north of the tracks out on 183.
And emergency services.
And
so to say.
emergency
Not an
services.
electrical.
Well,
Well, just so that people understand what we're talking about. We
as
got police and
everybody
fire on the north
knows,
side of the track.
We don't
Yeah.
have we're not in charge of the ambulance service anymore. We have the ESD number 5.
Yes.
So if we could partner down the road with them and have a dual operation would be really great.
Yeah.
And of course, I would like to see the growth. We know it's going to be on the outside of downtown. To the south is a prime opportunity towards the interstate for some of that to grow out that way. And
With
we're
still
working
the
on
challenges of the floodplain, though.
With-
That's another problem.
But
Oh,
if you
man,
go
the
across,
floodplain
yeah,
is-
the floodplain.
Everything, I think sometimes you like it's for some people listening kind of from the outside into this world of municipal, government, EDC, everything just merges together. You have to work together
You do.
to push a vision forward, which is why stakeholder meetings are so important, so that we all come together to make sure our objectives are all the same and the roles that we're entrusted to, moving everything forward. One other questions also that I had is what types, and we've kind of hit on this a little bit, but from y'all's standpoint, what types of developments do you feel might be missing right now in Luling that we can bring in the next 3 to 5 years along with what we're talking about?
Developments. Well, one of the things that we have been working on, Ari,
Uh-huh.
real hard, and we now have a CTE advisory board working with David Smith and the school. one of the things that we need to do here, you said you want to see people stay in Luling.
Yes.
We need to focus on getting our kiddos trained up to jobs and have the manufacturing or the businesses here that they can come back to. Crossbow is a
Yes.
example of that because they're looking for people all the time
Yep.
that they could come back to. But we need some training for
Yes.
the kids here
Yes.
that are going to be graduating to try to keep them here. And I wouldn't mind seeing another housing development
Yes.
that has talked about coming here that would be like a gated community
Yeah.
over by the golf course.
Yes.
We were working with somebody like that. That could bring more of the higher end families,
Yes.
like the Crossbow people, to
Yes.
buy here and
To
stay
buy here, stay
and
here,
spend their money
yeah.
here.
Yes.
Well, we're an
local.
affordable community for sure.
Yes,
Yes.
we are.
And when you look at the map, you're less than an hour from San Antonio or the outskirts. You're
Right.
certainly less
Yep.
than an hour from downtown Austin, depending on traffic. So it's a great place to live, and in relation to all of the big city amenities that we won't necessarily have. I mean, I don't see Luling getting a mall anytime
Right.
soon.
No.
And we're not going to get a Walmart anytime
No.
soon because there's one only 8 miles away. But when people want to go to the mall or whatever, they certainly don't have to go very far to get to one, right?
Right.
I think that back to your question, there's I think it's like looking at a two-bladed sword. We already have businesses that are in town that offer us services, dining establishments or
Right.
whatever. But if you look at their hours of operation, most of them roll up the sidewalk by 2:00 in the afternoon.
Yes.
The demand is starting to be realized
Yeah.
from our citizens that there's nowhere to go after about 5:00.
Right.
Very, very limited opportunities after 5. So I think what we're going to start seeing is a migration to other businesses, whether they are current or they come in, to offer more options for our residents for after work hours, dining, getting out, whether it's just dining or it's if they like the bars or the sports bar kind of
Right.
scene. I think you're going to see some of that happening here
Yeah.
pretty soon.
And that was something that I've been in the back of my head, but it's something I want to bring to the board later. So don't sit here and say it's concrete when you listen to this. But it's something that I've been thinking about is we have our business incentive retail program, loan program, but is also doing something along those lines to encourage businesses. It's almost like an incentive for them to stay open later. Because that's something I keep hearing with our residents is, oh, I wish that there was something open after 5. And there's only very limited amount of businesses right now that's open after 5. And so that's something in the back of my head that's been percolating is how can we create as an EDC a program that incentivizes business to stay open later? Because that's whenever we can get the foot traffic and traction a little bit more downtown. I love it whenever we have music on Main or something going on downtown that encourages businesses to stay open. Like, Main Street has the wine crawl Mother's Day weekend, or of course Music on Main. They'll stay open a little bit later in order to be of service to those that are coming to Music on Main. But I want something with a little bit more longevity. So it's, that was something that I was like, well, I kind of want to bring that up because.
Well, and you're right about that because, like Mark said, you have some that close at 2 and you have some that close at 3, and you have just a few to choose from that are open in the evenings, and some of those are only open on certain evenings. So you have to take your family and go out to eat. You have to drive out of town. We don't want that.
Right.
We need something here to keep everybody here in Luling.
Yes.
You hit that right on the head about we don't want them to go out of town.
No.
I would think that, I'd like to share that it's been my observation in the last 15 months that I believe that the businesses are realizing this and they're offering more at different hours now. And we see that in our sales tax data.
Yes.
Yes.
We just finished sales tax a couple of days ago, and it's an all-time record again.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's a direct reflection of the citizens buying here and
Yes.
staying here.
Yes.
Um,
And I did notice And that's one of the things that Ari and I have talked about a lot. And actually, we wanted to have the conversation with the HEB
Yes.
about trying to do something better with the HEB.
Yes.
But I will say that now HEB has a delivery service.
Yes, they do.
And so that's there to take advantage of that. Now,
Yes.
whether they're going to do curbside, I don't know. But they do have delivery now.
If
for
they
the
did
citizens.
do curbside, it'd definitely be a limited.
Yeah,
you know,
limited amount because there's
limited
not
amount.
enough parking.
Well, and they've got a strategic
Yeah.
decision to make on, because I think we all know that
Yes.
they understand that the current HEB is not going to be compatible with the size that Luling will be in the next few years. So
Right.
they're going to have to make some decisions on what they're going to do.
And that's something too that we've brought up with Aaron, and that we've been having those kind of conversations, starting to, I wouldn't say just not just entertain, but to start looking at, is there room for expansion, or is it something where maybe the HEB can go somewhere that's still downtown area, but is a wider space for a new development, you know, for a new HEB to go in. But that's something that we'll be discussing in the near future.
And another thing that we are truly blessed with here in Luling is that we have a hospital.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yep.
And that is a big deal. And I will let everybody out there know that myself and the city manager meets with the administrator of the hospital on a quarterly basis. We sit down and we have conversation of what's going on in Luling, what's going on with the hospital. We're all up to date, and we're working with them on some things they want to do going to the future of expanding. So
Right here in Luling.
right here in
So
Luling.
regardless of the rumors from your friends in Lockhart, the hospital is not leaving Luling.
It's not.
No, it's not moving.
In fact, they're
It's
going to
to say-
expand in Luling.
They are
Yes.
expanding.
And the problem with the hospital is that it's the way it was built. It cannot support growth above because the structure can't support it. So there's options that the hospital's going to look at on how do they expand in other areas of the hospital, but then you also have Pam in there as well. So, but we are very fortunate to have a hospital, and Jace is doing a great job looking at the rural, the new legislation that offered rural hospital grants, and he's
Yes.
jumping all over that.
Yes.
It's going to bring and other amenities to the hospital, and I don't think a lot of people really fully understand that. They bring in heart specialists and all these different specialists now make routine stops
They do.
at our hospital,
We've got an orthopedic
Yes.
person. And
the full rehabilitation center now.
Correct.
That's
The
up and running.
pulmonary.
Yep.
which they need to expand that because they've
It's
already
already
outgrown that.
They just opened it. It's
So-
already too small.
And not only that, but we're also fortunate to have the new evacuation center.
Yes.
And I can tell you that we've worked long and hard years ago with the county on getting that accomplished. And the judge says that they're going to have a ribbon cutting on that sometime in April.
Yes.
We don't have an
We'll all be
exact
out there.
date yet, but that will not only help with hurricanes or floods or anything else. People will
Right.
now have a place to go. Plus, it can be rented out for events.
All by the county, though. That's
All
really
by the
that's
county.
not our
The
building.
The
It's not
city
the
has
city's.
nothing to do with that. It's all county ran.
You can
Yeah,
contact
run
the
by the
judge's
county.
office for that.
Yeah.
But it's a
Once
beautiful
they'll
facility.
get somebody hired here in the near future
Yes.
in order to organize. They'll have a planner, coordinator for that facility. But to Mayor's point, of course, first and foremost, it's an evacuation shelter. It's a place for people to find refuge during severe storms, hurricanes, etc. Whenever the need is there. That we'll be able to use it, or the community or whoever, for events, whether it's the full portion. I don't even know why I say it. It's huge inside, by the way. It's massive. Or halving it. I don't know how it all works, but they have, what are those things called?
The dividers.
Dividers, yes.
I mean, the thing's almost 40,000 square
Yeah.
feet. So
It's so big.
it is giant on
But
the
it's going to
inside.
hold so many people.
When you look at it, when you're on the inside, it looks even bigger than what you think of it.
You
when
look
you're
on the
on
outside and you're like, that's it.
And they're not finished yet. He still has
Yeah.
a vision for growth out there with what they have left to do. So
Yeah.
it'll be good.
It's gonna be, yeah,
gonna be
it's developing. One of the things too, as we're kind of talking in tandem with the 3 to 5 outlook, your outlook on what Luling's going to look like, etc., is we also are working on the city side with Langford Community Management to develop a comprehensive plan for the city, which is very much needed. The one that we had was 10 years
20.
ago, 20 years ago. It's very outdated, and so that's something that the city is working on and updating. So we have that 10 to 15 year projection. We've kind of been talking about it a little bit, whether it's been with the transportation, the roads, the development, etc. All those things come into the meeting, to consideration in forming the comprehensive plan, so that the city has a clear vision of what this is all going to look like moving forward. So,
which, by the way, does get community input on developing
yes,
that. So
there will be public
it's not like
forums.
we're just the three of us going, well, what do we want to make this city look like? And we decide.
It's very community
It's very
involved.
community
the
involved.
Residents are. So that's one thing that I do want to put out there, and I'm sure the mayor is probably thinking the same thing, is I encourage people, I love Luling discussion group, but I want more people to show up to city council meetings. I want them to show up to, whether it's planning, like, to be more informed with what's going on with the city. As much as fun as Luling discussion group is, it's nice to be able to actually.
It's entertainment for me, really.
It's
well,
like,
I'm not going to say that, but
it's good to show up to these meetings. And so with the comprehensive plan, the public forum, they'll be taking surveys, or it'll be posted in the paper. You scan a QR code, and then it'll be like all the questions, of what you want to see. To be concise, they want community input. They want residents' input, and that matters to all of us as well, much to maybe some might not think that, but we want more community involvement. We want everybody to come together and be a part of the greater vision for Luling, because it starts with community. The root of all cities is the community and the involvement. And so that's something that we encourage greatly, is for people to come out, to give your 2 cents, to tell us what you would like to see. And so with the comprehensive plan, that is something that I encourage everybody to put in their input so that we know.
that's a very good point, Ari. And that's just like the Luling transportation plan. I've had some questions raised with me about that. That's open to the public.
Yes.
Anybody can go. Anybody can say, what are we looking at?
Right.
And give them the ideas of what everybody's thinking about as far as the transportation plan. That's been worked on for a while now. And the same way as the comprehensive plan, come to those meetings.
Yes.
Come to those meetings and share your input. Putting it on Facebook is
No.
not the same. Show up in person. Make your comments. That's
Right.
what city council is for, too.
Yes.
Don't just go out there and get on Facebook
That's why we
and
have
you don't
public
have the
comment.
facts. So come to City Hall and see what the council is doing.
There's public comment. There's also where you can reach out to people, whether it's department heads or whatever, individually, to also raise your concerns or talk. I know there's been sometimes I've been going to pick up mail in City Hall, and there are residents in Mark's office. His door, he'll always say, is always open. He'll set up an appointment with you, as well as the mayor.
Well, they know where to find us.
Yeah,
Come
exactly.
find us.
If I'm not doing a whole lot, like yesterday, I
509
had
East Crockett Street.
I had a walk-in, nice gentleman who walked in yesterday and wanted to talk about the nature trail on the South Side Park.
Yeah.
So, if my door's open and I'm not in the middle of a
Yep. Yeah.
Zoom
Well,
meeting or whatever, they can come
And
on
that's
in and
just
sit
like
down.
last week. Rachel comes over to the office and she says, Mayor, there's a gentleman up here that wants to talk to you about the pool. And I said, okay. So I went up there, and he asked me his questions. He had come to one of our city council meetings previously, and I know the young man. He lives over by the golf course. And he said, can you just tell me, I think I'm getting some false information about the pool.
Yeah.
And I said, yes. And I laid it out. And he said, okay, now I have a better understanding of it.
Yeah.
And I said, well, come again to city council. And he works for the trash company. And, of course, he's on the truck and can't always make that.
Right.
But he came to City Hall to ask the question. That's what we're all there for.
Right.
Is ask the question.
Yeah.
So that way you're not misinformed.
Yes. We prioritize those meetings because they're important to us. To hear the community and their concerns, that's important. And that's why we sit in the seats, especially y'all, in the ways that y'all do. And so, well, I think that we're kind of coming to a close here a little bit. And so one of the things I wanted to close with is well, I was going to say, is there something else that you want to accomplish in your second year, Mark?
Oh.
But now in like your 3 years, is there something?
So no, for this next year. Okay, so
There's several things that
boy,
he
you're going
needs
to get
to
me going here.
accomplish.
So
Oh, we're closing. No, it's okay. We've got minutes, so it's good.
here,
I just know that we have a 1 o'clock.
here's the Chris Berman 30-second, Monday Night Football roundup kind of thing. No, so what we have is, it was my first year was evaluating the staff.
Yes.
And realizing that, hey, to get to the next level, we're missing those foundational pieces. Comprehensive plan,
Right.
planning director, a parks department, a parks advisory board committee.
Compensation
A
plan.
compensation plan which divides up the levels of jobs in the city because, I don't think many people fully understand until you don't get that service.
Right.
How many people are behind the scenes making sure your garbage is, when you turn on the water spigot, you expect clean water to come out.
Yes.
That doesn't happen by accident.
Right.
And so we have 94 employees in the city that make all this work. And it is working. If it wasn't working, my phone would be blowing off the wall, and it's not.
Yeah.
Of course, Facebook will always have the 1%ers
Yes.
that say, I can do it better.
Yeah.
Knock yourself out. Go find a job like I got and see how you want to do that. All more power
True.
to you. But
Yeah.
it still boils down to you need to have quality people, and we're there. So now the next pieces that we have to start doing, the next piece of the foundation is the comprehensive plan. That's the roadmap that says when city council members change out, city managers change out, other department heads change out, the plan stays. And
Yes.
people know, well, what you don't want to do is be knee-jerking and changing direction and wasting money and effort
Right.
and resources. So that's why city government, the way we have it, is formed the way it is. It's like a big iceberg. It just doesn't move, so no one person can really screw it up, right? No one city manager can really screw it up. So that's the why it is the way it is. But I see here in this next year, the comprehensive plan is a
Yes.
big one. The parks master plan is a big one. We are going to start focusing in on other grant opportunities that have to be founded on those two plans. So we need those plans before we can really go after
Right.
good grant funding.
Yes.
Then I need to man, equip, and train the street department.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a wonderful street department headed by Ross Barrington, and those guys are awesome. And if you want to know how awesome they are, I invite anybody to come out on August 1st and hang one day with them
Yeah.
and see what you think of the street department after that day.
Yeah.
And so these guys do it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're on call. And what we don't have is we don't have the resources in the city budget to go out and really take care of the city streets. It's been a known problem for many, many, many years, long
Yes.
before I ever got here.
Yes.
Long before Mark Mayo, before him.
Yes.
What we are going to have to do this next year is focus on a resource stream. And I've told it, I've shared it. If people have heard me say it, I'm going to say it right now. A street maintenance fee,
Yeah.
paid for by utility owners in the city. Everybody has a utility account. Everybody puts a little bit in the kitty,
Yep.
and it gives us a dedicated street fee that only can be used on the streets.
Yes.
But from that, what we're going to have to do is we have pieces of equipment, but we don't all have it aligned to be able to go out and chip seal a road or do full depth construction and rebuild a road. We have the people, we have the willingness. I just don't have the equipment, and I don't have them trained on equipment that we don't even have yet. So that is going to be a focus this next year on where can I find this equipment? And I have a meeting with a electric utility next week on, that turn over large amounts of equipment. How can we get some of their hand-me-down stuff at a reasonable cost
Yeah.
that would work great for us?
Yeah.
So streets, that's one of my big ones for this next year and I may not be able to say I'm going to come in and pave 20 miles of street. I can tell you that's not going to happen.
But you got to
But
start
we are
somewhere.
going to
Yeah.
outline how we're going to get to the capability to take care of our own streets without having to hire it out.
Yeah.
So
Which is
that's
cheaper.
that's
I mean,
the
that's
next
the
year.
thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the things that Mark didn't mention was one of my most important things when he came on board was that we needed a new personnel policy. And you wrote us a
We
new
did.
personnel
Wrote a new
policy.
one of those. Another book.
And another thing that he's got to work on, or we've got to work on, or he's got to work on with our fire chief, is the emergency
The emergency
plan,
management plan.
and that's a work in progress. So there's
So
a
we've
lot
got
of
some of those
things.
pieces done, but there's if you looked at the state requirements for emergency management plan, it would be like these volumes of books. Okay,
Right.
we've done that one. We have all of these to go yet.
Yeah.
And it takes a long time. And Charlie Royale, the fire chief, and Keith Losey, our deputy fire chief, they're prioritizing what's the next one we've got
Right.
to do.
Yeah.
And we don't have to make this up. The state already has guidelines. Now we have to look at their guidelines and see how it fits for our community within our capabilities.
Yeah.
That's some of the
And another
challenge.
thing I want to add, not that I wanted to say it earlier, was when we talked about the citizens were real worried at the last time I talked to the group at the Central Baptist Church.
Yes.
One of their questions was, what about our ambulance service? We're not losing our ambulance
No.
service here in town. They're still housed where they're housed. We work with them. In fact, we had a meeting with them last week or week before last. And our ambulance service is still going to be here in Luling.
Mm-hmm.
They're even looking for another location.
Another site. To
But
be
what a
moved.
lot of people have asked also is, what about all these helicopters? Well, the city's partnered up with the county
Yes.
to do the helicopter service, and that's why they're here. They're here to get you somewhere faster than the ambulance when they're not available.
And if a helicopter is in
It's in
Luling,
Luling.
it's not bringing somebody in.
No.
It's taking
taking
them out.
somebody out.
Taking them out.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, is there anything, kind of closing remarks, is there anything that we haven't touched on that you want to address, or last kind of comments on anything that's going on with the town currently, or what we've already covered, goals and objectives and all of those things for the next 3 to 5 years, but is there any kind of closing remarks or things that y'all want to end with?
Well, one of the things I would like to say is, regardless of what you see on Facebook,
Yeah.
the city has a team that is working very hard to accomplish everything to better our community, to better Luling, to have more for the families to do. That's one of the reasons that Mark got the Parks Department up and going, because if you take the time to drive around and look at our parks right now, they have looked better than I have ever
They
seen
look
them
great.
in a long time.
Yeah.
Now, if we can just keep people from vandalizing what
Right.
has been fixed, that would be even better. But people just need to have a little patience, because none of this happens overnight. It takes time to plan. It takes time to get the grant money, and it takes time to build
Right.
what needs to be built.
Yes.
So,
I would probably add on that. So the two. Let me think about this. So the complaints, I would call them complaints or calls, concerns
Yeah.
that come to my office. Certainly the most prolific one is the fuel adjustment. I'll mention that here in just a minute. The second one is the train noise, delays on the train. Why does it stop in the middle of town? A lot of people say that, hey, the city, you need to do something about the train. I want to be very open and honest. There's zero we can do about the train.
Right.
That's Union Pacific, Southern Pacific. That is their track. That section of track is one of the busiest sections of track in the
Yes.
entire country. We have a train about every 40 minutes through
Yep.
town, and that's going to continue.
Yeah.
And they have every right. They were here. This town is here because of that railroad track.
Yeah, because of the
Correct.
train.
So the that is not going to change. I don't see, after talking with our contacts at Union Pacific, there's this rumor about the second track in town.
Yes.
Even they say, yeah, not anytime soon.
Yeah.
Because there's crossing on both ends of the
Right.
town. So there's really no requirement to have a second track in town. So let's put that one to bed for a little while. That's not coming next year, next decade. Who knows?
They don't know.
They don't
Tomorrow.
know.
No,
They
Okay.
don't know. They don't know, and then they may know at last minute.
Yeah.
But so
that's
there's
true.
really nothing we can do about the train, and we cannot make them stop blowing the horn because it's a safety issue. We know that to be a quiet zone, there are towns in Texas that can be a quiet zone, but the modifications are in the multi-millions of dollars to every single crossing in town to make them compatible for quiet zone. And then the city must maintain those every year. And that can be, well, I can tell you right now, that is way beyond our resource ability
Yes.
right now. So that's the train. Let me go back to the one that gets the most calls, and that's the fuel adjustment. Regardless of what you see in all kinds of campaigns or whatever going on, Facebook, the Facebook mafia out there, I will tell you that the fuel adjustment is not a city tax. People keep saying that the city's making the electricity and I'm taxing them on it. False and false, even more false. We don't make anything in the city for electricity. We buy 100% off the market, but we have it via a market under a contract with Lower Colorado River Authority.
Right.
They have 10 plants up and down in our geographical area, some a couple hundred miles away, but and in each one of those plants, there's multiple generation facilities, okay? And they mostly use natural gas or coal. Almost half of the entire electric grid that provides our power to us is made out of the coal plant over at LaGrange, Fayette Power Plant. And so we buy from LCRA because they're the nearest person to us that can make it and get it here the cheapest.
Right.
If there were a cheaper alternative, I guarantee you we already would have run that rabbit down its hole.
Right.
Okay, and it's not there.
Yeah.
So with the fuel adjustment, this is very simple. You see two lines on your utility bill. They're both under EL for electric. There's the city. That's our charge to maintain our grid and get the electricity from the substation at the north end of town to your house.
Yeah.
Okay? That's that charge. And we charge extra amount, like 4 cents on the kilowatt, to do that because I have to pay people to keep those lines up,
Yeah.
keep the trees off of them,
Poles.
keep the poles up, keep the distribution system working. So that's the first line. The second one is the fuel adjustment. I can tell you that years ago, that was one number.
Correct.
But somebody said, how much does it cost to make that power and get it to Luling? That's the fuel adjustment.
Yeah.
So it moves because your use of power changes and the cost of where power was made somewhere in LCRA changed.
Yeah.
But it's 100% pass-through. It's not our tax. It has nothing to do with us. It is just the cost of the power to be made and transported to the substation on the north end of town. That's your portion on your electric bill to get the power. We buy about 4 million kilowatts per month at about $400,000 per month to power the whole city. And then I spend the next month collecting it from all of our citizens.
Yep.
And so that's the fuel adjustament. And if you want to really know how good you're doing it, you take those two numbers and add them together. The cost, you may have $100 on one and the fuel adjustment will always be higher because the biggest cost of the electric bill is the production of the electricity and getting it to Luling. The city's portion is way smaller
Right.
than that. So you add those two numbers together, and let's say you had 100 on one and 150 on the other line. That would be $250. You divide it by the total kilowatts used, you will come up with a number that'll be 0.12 something. 129, 0.130. That's 13 cents a kilowatt. We're about 2 cents cheaper than
And
the
we're
open market.
cheaper than
cheaper.
the communities around us.
All around us.
And another thing, since you're talking about that, Mark, one of the questions, and I've seen it on Facebook, and I've even been asked, why can't the citizens pick who they want to buy their electricity
question.
from?
Electricity.
And answer that, because
So we are one of 85 municipalities in the state of Texas authorized by ERCOT to run our own municipal district. And because of that, we have the option to go out and get fuel cheaper, electricity cheaper than on the open market. And we contract that through LCRA, which prohibits the private citizen from saying, I'm going to go get wind farm power out of New Mexico. Because somebody called them on the phone and said, hey, I can get you wind farm power for 4 cents. You know what? You're probably absolutely right. But by the time you got that electron out of New Mexico all the way to Luling, that thing's going to cost you 20 to 30 cents a kilowatt. And right now you're only paying from LCRA 13 cents.
Yep.
So that's why we don't allow that.
So if you're being told out there that you should be able to pick your own utility company, that is false
No,
information.
because of the way the state of Texas organized us.
Yes.
And
So there you go.
So there you go. And you know the
like I said, though,
we have explained that and explained that and explained that, and we've done it in council chambers with a huge utility bill on an easel, and it still comes back to us. But Mark, the reason way before it was just electric. Well, we had. My understanding was that there were so many complaints, and that's why it was broken out, so it could be more transparent.
Yeah. And people will actually say, well, that city doesn't, they don't have a fuel adjustment. I'm like, oh, yes, they do. They just don't break it out for
and
their
Lockhart
citizens.
has it, too. They all have it, but
Yeah.
it's never how it's broke out. So,
But
anyway, just
like
be
I said,
clear.
if there was a cheaper source of electricity, we would be after it.
Yeah.
True.
And
Because we want
this is
what's
what we
best
get.
for the community at the end of the day.
And here's another one. It's like people will call and they'll say, well, I live in a 1,200 square foot house and my bill is $500. And so I ask them, first of all, you got to break the bill down. Is it $500 on the whole thing that includes garbage and water and wastewater? Or is that just the electric? And if they say, well, it's $500 just for the electric, I'm like, 1,200 square feet? Wow. What do you have plugged in?
Yes.
Because it shouldn't be nearly that high.
Yeah.
So usually what we tell them is, hey, in today's world, anything you plug into a wall outlet is sucking electricity, whether you think it's on or off.
Take it out.
Take it out.
Yes.
Shut your computer off overnight. You'd be surprised how much you can save by taking it out of the wall charger. And the other one is usually those that have high bills, one of the questions I always ask them is, how many refrigerators and freezers do you have at your house? Well, I have 3 refrigerators and 1 deep freezer.
There you go.
There's your problem.
There you go.
Or how well insulated is your house?
Yeah,
That's
and
true.
the
Yeah,
windows.
what's your air
It all
conditioner
comes
room? What do
into
you
play.
set it at?
Yeah.
Well, I set it at 69. There's
There
your
you go.
problem.
That's in the middle of summer.
Case
There you
is
go.
different, so it doesn't matter if you live in a 100-year-old home versus a 1-year-old home. It makes a big difference. So
I will always entertain anybody that has a concern about their electric bill. They can come into my office, they can bring the bill, and I will walk them down through that. And I can even break it down even further and show them what's really going on.
So there's nothing hidden at City Hall, I'll
Nothing.
tell you that. In fact, it's very transparent on everything that we do.
Yes.
And one of the things that Mark is looking into going forward is to make our city council meetings to where everybody can watch them.
Yeah.
He's working on
in fact,
that.
I thought
Yeah,
I would
going
have the
live.
quote this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to get a 360 camera, so it faces it shines on the city council, but it also shines on the people in the room.
Right.
So you can see everybody, and what anybody at home can watch the city council meeting on Facebook Live.
Awesome.
But you can't respond. We obviously by
They can't take
Texas
questions.
legislation, we are
Right.
not allowed to engage with you through Facebook Live.
Right.
But you want to watch it and listen and learn? Yeah, this is a great one. This is a great opportunity, and I think we've got all the internet connection things for that room fixed now. So now it's Blue Iron owes me the quote on that for what's that camera and where are we going to put it in the room. So we should have that up pretty much really soon.
I know a lot of cities are
Yeah.
starting to do that.
They are.
Yeah.
So in closing, I would like to say that I am very excited about what we have going on here in Luling and the movement that we're getting and the team that we're building at City Hall. And I think we're moving it forward. And as I always like to say, living in Luling is a good thing.
Yes.
And the future of Luling is looking brighter every day that we're working towards it.
Great comment.
I know. That's a
Yeah,
great
the
closing
mayor
comment.
finishes. She just did it. That's great.
Mic drop.
That worked great.
So,
Well, and as we close everything out, again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, all of our information is on the city website. You can also reach out via Facebook, and somebody will connect you with the appropriate person. And then, as always, go and subscribe on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, etc. And you can go to the lulingedc.org website if you want to see everything that the EDC is doing currently. And I always encourage people to come to our meetings, our board meetings. The next one will be March 25th. And then also just a couple of last minute comments on me from me is Tuesday, the 24th, is the Juniors Day that the CTE Advisory Committee and Workforce Solutions Rural CAP is putting on and hosting with Prairie Lea ISD and Luling ISD for juniors, helping train them with soft skills and then also connecting them with local businesses in town. So we're looking really forward to that. And then
At the Civic Center.
and then
At the Civic Center.
Yes, at the Civic Center. And then I'm trying to think of what else is coming up here in April.
The election.
Oh, that's
So
right.
we
The election.
have 2 big elections coming up for the city.
Yes.
The first one is at the end of March. That is the runoff election for the state stuff.
Oh, that's right.
And,
Okay.
and that is at the Civic Center. Has early voting and the regular election at the end of March at the Civic Center. And then we have our May election. So it runs 2 weeks prior to that. It has early voting and
May
the regular
2nd.
election
Yep.
May 2nd, all at the Civic Center.
That's
There will be other
Go out and
things
vote.
going on in the Civic Center, but it will be partitioned off so that when you go there to vote, it'll be very obvious where you go to vote.
Yes.
And if you're not part of the vote, if you're there for that quinceañera or whatever's going on, you will know where you need to go. So,
Right.
True.
but everything's at the Civic Center.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for coming on.
Well, thank you for having us. We
Yes.
appreciate it.
Thanks, sorry.
I love working with them. They're really great people, and I love their vision for Luling and what's coming. I love being able just to work together. So
It's a good
been
time.
great. It's been
Yep.
fun.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's fun.
And I'm
Thank
looking
you.
forward to the years ahead as well. So thank you again. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.